when it comes to forgiveness, forgiving a spouse. One, separating the sin from the person.
The person is not the sin.
The person is not the sin.
Yeah, that's good.
And that really helps you to see the human, to see your spouse, or to see just the person and not just what they did.
Although I didn't do anything, it doesn't mean that I'm exempt from still initiating or opening the door for forgiveness to take place. And many of us feel like, well, I ain't the one who did. I ain't do nothing, so they got to come to me. How selfish and arrogant and narcissistic can you be?
Yeah.
With me having to relearn, reprocess, rethink what sex was, that was like taking a part of my identity away.
Just because you may need to seek help or you may be in transition and things may not be right, that doesn't necessarily mean that your marriage is bad.
Marriage is a roller coaster ride that never ends.
From the twists of having children, to the turns of overly involved parents, or the highs of buying a new home, to the lows of unexpected lifestyle changes.
Marriage is dope, but let's be honest, fam. Marriage really be tiring.
Welcome to the Left Hand Gang podcast, hosted by Jazz and Spoon.
Yo, what's good, everybody? It is the Left Hand Gang. How you doing, baby mama?
I'm doing good. What up, gang?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
What about you?
I'm still just a little salty. Well, I had that fight that I had with the sprinkler.
Did you win?
I won. He had me on the ropes. He had me on the ropes. But, I was able to overcome by the blood of the lamb.
I was about to say that.
Word. So you know how I feel about wet socks. So my socks got wet.
Oh, it was a real fight.
Yeah.
I thought it was just your shirt.
Nah.
Your sweats are black, so I couldn't.
Yeah, nah. You know how I feel about wet socks. So, and both of my socks got wet.
So can you explain, what happened exactly?
I mean, just to make a long story short, I, watering the grass like I normally do. I figured out a new routine and everything, and I was in the process of moving it, and when I moved the sprinkler, the hose busted. Hose just busted. It's one of those stretchy ones, and it bust on me. And so when it burst, I had to swap out water hoses. Obviously, as I'm swapping them out. Turn the water. I got it. This is the thing. You got to make so many trips because the water hose on one side of the yard and the spout is on the other side of the house. So I made like 50 trips already. So I'm already a little, about that. So I had to turn the water off, go get the other water hose, swap them out. And the newer water hose is not a stretchy one. It's just one of those, just bam. That's just what it is. The length, that's just what it is. And so I pulled it. And when I just pulled it, I didn't pull it too hard. It fell over. The sprinkler fell over. And so when I went to go pick it up, it actually bent one of the parts on there. So with it bending it, the water was shooting up against the metal part, and it was just spraying water everywhere.
And you had to go up in there.
And I had to go up in there and get it. I had to go up in that thing. So, but like I said, I won. I won. Anyways.
Did you change your Did you change your socks?
I hadn't changed them.
Okay.
Because I'm finna get in the shower.
Touche.
So I'm just like.
So you real irritated because you still got these.
I got these wet socks
on. So now your feet cold.
Yeah, they cold, but at the same time, I don't ever not wear socks.
Yeah.
I'm not the barefoot dude. Just not my thing. I always wear socks. So that's how I'm feeling right now. How are you feeling?
Not like that.
Yeah.
I'm tired, but I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, tired, but I'm good.
Yeah.
That's where you at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Today was a day of rest, and so I'm really basking in that. I really got to chill today. And so that's why I say I'm tired, because it's a late night recording for
Right.
us, but
yeah, it is.
but I'm good. I feel rested in my body, and I'm not sore anymore. Moving and
Oh yeah.
working out and stuff.
Yeah, that
so
move was crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it was. Man, what in the world? I have a spider crawling from the ceiling. What is that on my arm? It's a whole ant. Did he come from outside with me and just now get on me? Lord, y'all help
Oh my
me.
goodness.
Yeah.
So you need to go bathe.
I gotta do something.
You
Lord,
need to go bathe. Is
Hell,
what.
a whole ant on me. crawling along. I thought it was the plant.
You
know?
dirty.
Man, relax.
You
bro.
dirty. So
Relax. I'm out here trying to get this yard green for you.
For me.
And you calling me dirty.
For me.
Yeah, this your house.
It's our house.
Yeah,
fam.
I know, but you care about how I look whenever, Anyways, I'm not
How
dirty.
you flip that on me? Though?
I know. I did it so smooth. Didn't even see it coming. Man, we thank y'all so much for tapping in with the gang, man. Sponsors, man. Of course, big shout out to Light with Purpose.
Yeah.
If y'all ain't got that satin sheets. Satin sheets. Make sure y'all use our promo
They have
code.
some new ones out too
Yeah.
that I haven't smelled, and I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Especially that pink one. I can't remember the name of it.
I don't know what
But
the
I'm
new one is
interested.
called. Yeah. But yeah, use our promo code. I think it's either 15% off. Light gang. It's LIGHT gang. And if y'all see the gear we got on, shout out Icy Brand.
Yes.
Appreciate Icy Brand for also hopping on as a sponsor.
Yes.
Sponsoring Left Hand Gang. Get 10% off there. Icy, that's Icy with 2 Y's gang for use the promo code.
And
Get you some gang.
My bad.
Get you some gang.
Get you some.
Get you some gang. Gear.
So you need to bathe and go to bed.
You just own me right now.
Cause you dirty.
You
fam.
take dang. You slid that one in. I didn't even see that one coming. Goodness, cause you dirty.
Cause you dirty.
Hey, relax.
Cause you dirty. I was about to say, Rand's just came out. Icy Brand just came out with some new gear, and
Yeah.
I believe these are 2 new drops.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know
this is an older one.
Yeah, that one's not.
Yeah,
Mine is.
Yours is a new one.
And I really like the quality of the shirt. It's like a thicker. Did you feel this one?
Mhm.
It's like quality.
It's like,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Like
this ain't
Rand
ain't no
Rand
regular,
spent some
you
money
know.
on this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He invested
in that one.
Yeah, in his product. You know what I'm saying? And I really like what it stands for. Like, I like that Icy Brand is all about, like, you are icy in your own way.
Mm.
Like, it's not like you have to look a certain way. Like, I think, he talked about, when we talked to him on the phone, he was talking about embracing your creativity.
Yeah.
And just being you.
Yeah.
And my shirt says that, be you, because
you.
everyone else is
Be
taken.
yourself, yeah.
And I really like that, especially in a world that we live in right now, because everybody wants to be like everybody else, and social media makes us feel like we got to do the same thing that everybody else is doing and follow all the trends, right? Or you need to check these boxes in order to be, about something. And so I really like sending that message in the time that we're in. So I think that's really dope.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, Icy Brand, shout out Rands. Man, y'all go get y'all some of that stuff. You ready to get right into what we got to get into?
Let's go.
Yeah, so what we talking about?
We're talking about forgiveness.
Okay, now, what do you mean
What is there to mean?
when you say forgiveness?
Forgive, bruh.
I know, but like, what you mean though?
What you mean? What I mean?
I'm asking.
See, that's
you.
the problem. We be trying to make everything all complex and like, you know what it means to say I'm sorry. You know what I mean when I said you hurt my feelings. Like, that's forgiveness. Like,
Forgiveness.
Forgive. I don't really know what answer you're looking for.
I was just curious about what your
Because
answer
you're trying to
was.
make this real deep.
I really wasn't.
I didn't know where you was going, baby.
I was just going to ask you, what does forgiveness mean?
So specifically today we're talking about
It might be a goofy one today.
forgiveness. I keep hitting this mic. Like, I keep hitting my chin on it.
Big chin. Long
Is my
chin.
chin big though?
Long chin.
But you dirty though.
Wide chin. It's fine.
Cause you dirty. We're talking specifically about forgiveness of like your spouse or your partner, whoever you're dating at that time. I mean, I think that forgiveness across the board,
Right.
it's the same concept, but we're talking about in a relationship specifically.
Yeah.
With your significant other.
Yeah. And I think it's really good when I think of forgiveness, kind of sort of in a deeper sense. It's like
You
a
just gotta make
cancellation.
it deep.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Y'all therapists.
I'm not even a therapist. I'm not even a coach. I'm not. I don't have
Yes,
no.
you are.
I don't have no. Oh, I didn't mean to say coach.
You're
I'm
definitely
not
that.
a counselor and I'm not a therapist.
Okay.
But
you're a
anyways,
coach.
and
Same
what?
thing. I say you're a coach. Same thing.
Yeah, but still, we
Whatever.
different.
Okay, go.
Leave me alone. Leave
I love
me
you.
alone.
I wanna go.
I wanna. Never mind. When I think of forgiveness, I think of it as a cancellation of a debt, and like,
I just thought that was good because we don't think of it that way. We just be like, for the moment, it's like, I forgave you. I threw like a little blanket over it, but I know it's still there.
Yeah.
And like a cancellation of a debt is like, there's nothing there to talk about. It's not. I'm not thinking
wash
about
my
it.
hands.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
It's like poof. It's gone.
It's like it's gone. And so even though it's a cancellation of the debt, it's not like you forget the debt was there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I remember that show growing up as a kid. This may date me, but remember that show back in the day called Forgive and Forget? I don't know if you ever remember that. See, that was on that. I think that was like Channel 33 with Ricky Lake and all that other stuff. Anyways, but some people are like, who is Ricky Lake?
Channel 33.
33. See, back when I was a kid, we ain't had
When we have
cable.
cable.
We had channel 21, 27, 33. And that was it. But a cancellation of a debt. And so whenever you are walking through forgiveness, it's also a process. It's not a one-time thing with forgiveness. Because you have to understand the totality of the debt that's attempted, that you're attempting to forget or forgive or attempting to cancel. And so there's just, I think, a lot of different layers that we really don't understand when it comes to forgiveness, especially when it's a spouse. Someone we live with, we do life with, yada, yada, yada. They do something. We say, all right, I forgive you. I let it go, blah, blah, blah. But in the back of our mind, we've started planning our lives or creating systems based upon the act, the behavior that we thought or that we verbally expressed that we have forgiven. Anyways, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking about how when we talk about forgiveness with a spouse, I don't think we even realize that when we get into a relationship with someone, that forgiveness is on the table. Like, I know I have been guilty of this in some time, like especially early on. I put you on a pedestal where like, it's like I don't even expect you to mess up. And so then when you do, because you're human and you're not perfect and you don't deserve to be on this pedestal I put you on, then it's like, forgive what? Like, you should have never did it. Yeah. Instead of, you know what, you're human, and taking it back to the fact that God gives us all grace and God forgives all of us for the things that we do. So we should return that to not just our spouse, but, to anybody. And so for me, I realized that was something that I never even thought that I was going to have to do.
Yeah, same. And I think that's so true that it's like we forget. You're right. We do forget that it's on the table.
Yeah.
Like whenever, people, they're planning for their wedding, blah, blah, blah. And all these all these different things, and then you get to the wedding. It's like, this is the guy. This is the girl. This is the person that I'm going to do the rest of my life with. It's going to be happy. It's going to be blissful. We're going to have kids and blah, blah, blah. And all of that, we just wrapped up in love and bliss and fantasy. And when we come down from that high, we forget, and I tell people this all the time, that we forget that the same stuff or the things that you've done, the mistakes that you've made, Jesus died just like he did for your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He died for theirs too.
Mm-hmm.
And can you forgive them and give them grace, knowing, being mature enough to recognize that Jesus died for their mess too? We can pause right there real quick.
Yep.
Because that is such a that was a big pill that I had to swallow whenever it came to not just you, but with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever whenever we moved back, trying to get familiar with things and learn them, allowing them to learn me. And in my, I guess, relearning of them, I realized that I would look for things that they did wrong or incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
I would look for them.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if I'm looking for it, I'm going to find it.
Right.
That's what's going to be highlighted. That's
Yeah.
what's going to be showcased. That's what I'm going to see. And I got smacked in the face when I had the revelation that, hey, bruh, you know Jesus died for their stuff too, right? You know they deserve grace and they deserve forgiveness too. You know that they've grown just like you've grown too, right? You do realize that they don't get to be in the box just like you don't get to be in the box, right?
Mm.
And it's like,
Yeah.
how humbling, right?
Right. I wrote in my notes one of these things that like you have like different notes in your phone. And I think I said this to you like a couple weeks ago. But one of the nuggets that came to my mind was there's grace for people who make the same mistakes that you once did. And it's basically the same thing that you're saying. Like, I had to realize that too. Like, there's grace for that. Like, there's grace for the liar. There's grace for the person who, made a bad choice. There's like, especially the things that you did too. Like, that you're capable or you have done that before. Like, fam, there's grace for them too, not just for you.
Yep.
And I think we have to be reminded of that. I think when it comes to forgiving a spouse too, I was reminded recently, especially after today when, we had a conflict where I acted out of my emotion and had an attitude and didn't speak what I should have said. Instead, I used action. And I was reminded that like the way that you came and said, okay, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing, whatever. And you had to call my whole government name, which I really didn't appreciate. And it made me laugh, even though like it wasn't funny, but Jasmine Nicole Witherspoon, like what? Anyway, when you came to me and we were talking and stuff and you said, and you were like, I still love you. I was reminded that those moments are needed in relationships.
Yeah.
Like I needed to be reminded of the grace that I get from you. I needed to be reminded that I am forgiven by you. And no, there was nobody else to see that. But for me and my faith, I did need that. And it was a reminder. I think that we need those humbling moments to keep us, at the throne. And I was also reminded that when we have issues in our relationships, that's another opportunity for God to get glory.
Yep.
Like everything's not supposed to be perfect all the time, but how we handle those things matter. I think about the marriages who are dealing with a spouse who's committed a great sin, not comparing sin. I don't want to say that, but maybe it was something that was more hurtful than maybe me having an attitude versus someone who cheated.
Right.
Or, we can name instances all day, but God gets the glory out of that situation. When that spouse shows forgiveness, how many people watched that happen?
Right.
How many people's faith was like encouraged and they were reminded of love and genuineness? That doesn't mean it's easy and overnight. It's like, oh yeah, you slept with somebody else. Oh, okay. I still love you. Bring it in. I know you won't do it again. Like that's not what I'm saying. It is still a process, like you said, but the overall, our job is to reflect Christ. And so when we do that, when we forgive, we ultimately are giving him the glory.
Yeah, exactly. And with the conflict that we did have today, I was really pulled on by God to initiate and create the opportunity for you to, speak, say whatever it was that you had to say. But also, although I didn't start the conversation with, I forgive you, but my body language opened the door for you to receive it. And it was at first when the conflict initially happened, I started thinking, okay, so what did I do wrong? How could I fix it? How could I change it? What could I have done differently? I don't really think I did anything wrong. And because some people who are like myself, I'm like a people pleaser. So I'm trying to figure out, how can I fix this? What did I do wrong? I don't think I did anything wrong, but I'm going to look until I make something wrong. And I was thinking about this yesterday. In wedding vows, they always say for rich or for poor, for better or for worse, sickness and health, whatever. And that is forever, and it's not contingent upon anything, regardless of the situation. And so
that's the vow.
That is the vow
you made.
And so today, when we had the conflict, it was for better or for worse. And so, although I didn't do anything, it doesn't mean that I'm exempt from still initiating or opening the door for forgiveness to take place. And many of us feel like, well, I ain't the one who did it. I ain't do nothing, so they got to come to me. How selfish and arrogant and narcissistic can you be?
Yeah.
Because guess what? Like I said before, Jesus came to us.
I would say, especially if you feel convicted in that area.
Definitely.
That doesn't mean every time someone does something to you that, you have to initiate. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But I agree with you. There are some times where we do have to be the bigger person, or God does convict us in an area, or maybe it's just put on your heart to do it.
Yeah.
And the word says obedience is better than sacrifice. So sometimes it's better to just do the thing. You know what I mean? And it's powerful that you say that, because I'm the one who did something petty today. I should have come to you. But honestly, I was still working through, I was disappointed in myself because I knew I was wrong. And I didn't have a reason for it. It was just I let my emotions get in the way. And instead of me communicating something, I just acted and did something petty. And when we were talking, remember about it, you said, you kept asking, okay, so how can we help fix this for next time? Or, you didn't say it that way, but, you and I were practical, step people.
What do I need to do?
Yeah, what do I need to do? And you kept bringing it back, and I had already said it. I said it twice. And that makes sense now, because you were trying to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? And I literally had to own up and say, you didn't do nothing. It was literally me. There's nothing we need to change in the future. It is me who... There's no just reason. I just have to own up to the fact that I was wrong. I was being petty. That was me acting out of my flesh, and I'm really sorry about that. I'm gonna do better.
And when you brought up the word conviction, we've said it before, but I really want to clarify: conviction and condemnation are not the same.
Correct.
And so whenever we hear conviction, it's not saying you're bad, you done something wrong, you're a terrible person, and you begin judging your point to where you feel condemnation. But conviction is simply something being brought to your awareness that could be changed, or you feel empowered or charged to make a change or to do something differently. And so many of us, like myself, today, even though I didn't do anything wrong, I felt empowered, or I felt convicted to open up an opportunity for you to ask of forgiveness. I felt like I needed to lead in that area. And men, sometimes that is the place that we have to be. That's just the reality of it. Even though you didn't do nothing wrong, you ain't cuss nobody out. You ain't speak ill of anyone. You ain't call nobody out their name. But it's literally just showing up and opening the door. And so with the conflict that we had literally today, I was like, all right, I've thought about it, I've processed it, I've filtered through it. I'm just gonna go in there and hug my wife. And whatever happens, happens. Yes, I was fearful because I didn't want to be disregarded. I didn't want to be shut down. Because I was already feeling that due to the conflict. So I didn't want to add even more to that. I didn't want to be pushed away. I didn't want her to receive me as in a way where she just felt obligated either. But I was just like, let me go in here and hug her, tell her, hey, even though we still beefing, I love you. I care about you, and it's okay. And so I had to create, or attempt at least to create, the opportunity or the space for her to still feel safe, to still feel loved, even though I didn't do anything wrong.
And when I tell you I needed that, I had tears in my eyes as I hugged you. Like, I didn't know that I needed that, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it actually made me feel worse because I felt more guilty. Like,
Bruh.
even though I had already apologized, I still felt like I'm so sorry. Like, but you didn't make me feel like, even though I apologized multiple times, you didn't make me feel like I had to keep doing that, or I had to like earn your forgiveness. It was already there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think today that was different for us. Like, for you to come and initiate, not that I can think of. I can't think of a time where it's happened this way before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of brings me to a couple things, a couple takeaways for me when it comes to forgiveness, forgiving a spouse. One, separating the sin from the person.
Mm-hmm. The person is not the sin.
The person is not the sin.
Yeah, that's good.
And that really helps you to see the human, to see your spouse, or to see just the person, and not just what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that was a takeaway, what else did I say? Oh, seeing and acknowledging the other person's emotions. I learned that from like a conference or something that we went to. Like, seeing, if you see that person is, what's the word I'm looking for?
Remorseful.
Remorseful. There we go. You see that the person is remorseful.
10 points.
Don't just leave them there.
Yeah.
Even though you are hurt by what they did, or you're disappointed. It could be something that they didn't do to you, but you don't want to just leave your partner just out there, like they opened up their emotions and they're sad and all that. Like, still acknowledge that you see that in them. And then this one was a big one for me, is removing myself from just a victim or a judge mindset. Like, sometimes when you've done things, I had to move, because like the judge in me is like, that was wrong.
But you did it.
You did what you did, and I'm mad about it. And I've just told you I was mad about it. But I can't fully forgive you if I'm still standing in the place of judge, and wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
Or victim. You hurt me. And I really didn't appreciate that, and I'm just hurt. And if I sit in just my hurt, I can't forgive you. And so sometimes I've had to move myself out of the way to be able to forgive.
And oh God, girl, you dance. You saying some good stuff over there. Yes, Lord. That's my wife, y'all. That's my wife. But it takes, so obviously we've been talking about Christ being formed in us. And it takes us being mature to be able to separate ourselves too from our feelings and our hurt.
Yeah.
So as we separate the sin from the person, we also have to separate ourselves from our emotions.
Yeah.
And so, talk about a hard deal.
What?
I'm hurt, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, I am extremely disappointed in what happened. However, in order for me to see the God in you, in order for me to see the Christ in you, I have to be able to say, hold my hurt and say, yes, I'm hurt. Yes, I'm disappointed. Yes, I feel left behind. I feel whatever. But I'm not going to allow that to change how I still see you and change how I ultimately feel about you. Nor will I carry that with me for X amount of days, weeks, months, situations.
Oh, now you cussing.
Because what happens when we are disappointed or hurt by others, we say, this is what our body does. We say, okay, I'll never let that happen again.
Yep.
So I begin building systems, building different ways, or formatting things in a certain manner to where if I start to see that red flag, even poke his head just a little bit, I already know what to think. I already know how to feel. And it's like, well, you haven't fully forgiven because you've created these new barriers.
Yeah.
You've created this new system so that you can navigate a potential situation where you could be hurt. And it's like, you've had this internal conversation with yourself. You ain't talked to your spouse. You have these things already built up in your head and built up in your mind of how you gonna do it. So just in case, you got a getaway plan. The car is already started. You just got to hop in and go.
Yeah. I think when we start talking about those internal conversations, I have that really bad. And we get in a lot of trouble with that. And I'm sure we'll probably talk about that on an episode. So you said, that's what I was going to say. So like when we talk about forgiveness and, being mad for a couple of days, like, I think we also have to understand that we are human, and I don't want to dismiss the fact that sometimes people do things that are very, very hurtful.
Definitely.
And I don't believe that you just get over it overnight. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
We are human. Sometimes it can be weeks. It can, it can take months. But what does that time frame look like? Like, what are you doing in that time? Are you withholding sex on purpose because you're trying to make a point? Are you slamming doors every day, or are you being, just real cordial all the time? Like what's your heart posture like in those seasons? So I think that's important. I also believe that during the walk of forgiveness, depending on the magnitude and depending on what that relationship needs, I believe that counseling is a tool that can be used.
Definitely.
I do believe that inviting like your pastors or your apostle or whoever it is that's your shepherd, having them also sit in with you guys, walking you through that. I believe that those things are resources that are also necessary. So when we're talking about forgiveness, I just didn't want people to be like, but this has happened to me.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Because I recognize that. But I also know that not a lot of times, I also recognize that sometimes the small things can build up and become something big.
Little foxes.
It's the little foxes, yeah. And so like maybe it's something small, like I'm trying to think of something silly, like, okay, you didn't offer to help me with anything. I had to, this is a hypothetical thing, but like maybe the wife is like, well, I was feeding the kids. I had to cook dinner. I picked up the house, picked up all the toys. I had to do this and do that, and you disappeared. This is a real one. You disappeared on the toilet for like in the bathroom for like 45 minutes.
She telling on me, y'all.
Okay, what you doing in there for 45 minutes? Handle your business and get on out. Like, whatever. So that maybe you don't say anything that night about it. So you go to bed, you feel some type of way, but you like whatever. And then it happens the next day, or your spouse does something different the next day. Okay, now you still mad about the other day. So it actually gets coupled together, even though you didn't say anything. Compound interest. So those kind of things, like those are moments where you can tackle the issue. Some other things, maybe your spouse forgot to share something with you and you feel hurt about that. Or they did something, maybe they're battling with pornography. Maybe they are battling with some other addiction. Like the situations are endless, but the core of the forgiveness, I believe, is the same.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're gonna harp on the process of forgiveness because we may forgive with our words, but our bodies haven't forgotten about it. Our bodies haven't forgiven it. And so um we don't realize it. At least I don't know. I may be I'm generalizing. I could be wrong, but a lot of things that we experience them as a trauma, and things with traumas not only happen in our minds, but our bodies experience it. They feel it, internalize it, hold it, and so whatever situation was, like you use, a spouse may have cheated, been unfaithful, and so the victim in the relationship, the spouse who was hurt by it, they feel it. Not just it's not just, oh, you hurt me, you
Right.
hurt my feelings,
Yeah.
but my body
Yeah.
feels this.
Yeah.
And so since my body, as well as my mind, as well as my spirit, has experienced these things, I have to learn how to forgive in my mind. I have to learn how to forgive in my spirit, and also have to learn how to forgive in my body. So there are so many levels and dimensions whenever we look at forgiveness. And we use that scripture all the time, walk by faith, not by sight, whenever it comes to a job interview, whenever it comes to money, whenever it comes to getting something or overcoming whatever, or securing it back, whatever it is, whenever it comes to prospering. But can you walk by faith and not by sight through with forgiveness as the goal in mind? So how do you do that?
Ooh-wee.
Right? So how do you do that? Like you were saying, seeking wise counsel, having the strength to know that, all right, I need to go. I'm getting bit by another ant. I guess
You a
I'm dirty.
lie.
I'm dead serious. That was an ant.
Lorian
Coming
Dion.
from.
All right, y'all, we gotta go because your boy gotta go get in the shower to now.
Right. But do you have enough strength to pick up the phone and call a therapist's office? Can you do that by faith? Can you get your pastors, your mentors involved in your deliverance process, and in your forgiveness process? Do you have the strength to walk by faith in forgiveness? Do you even want to forgive? Let's just start there.
That's
You know
real.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
because many of us feel like, I ain't gotta, man, you know what they did to me? I ain't gotta forgive them. I don't owe them nothing. They did me wrong. How do I owe them? It's not that you owe them forgiveness. You cancel the debt. You cancel it. So, anyways, there's just so many different layers that go into actively walking out and seeking opportunities to forgive. Many of us hang out as victims, looking for forgiveness, like people owe us forgiveness. But can we diligently seek out opportunities to also forgive others that have wronged us?
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I got stuff crawling on me because you done had all these ants on you, and I ain't even been outside.
I think that was the last one.
That was that was really good though, baby. And I don't believe that we talk about forgiveness enough. At least from the standpoint of giving it.
Yeah.
We talk about like you should be forgiven. I don't know. Like we make it this thing that like you get, but you don't always give. And you hit on this before. You hit on this earlier. I was trying to say before and earlier at the same time, that forgiveness takes maturity.
Yeah.
It does take denying of self. And those are ugly words to our culture.
Ooh-wee.
We don't talk about the things that require us to have humility. We just want to be on top. We want to be the one that, gets all the things. But that's not always the Christian walk. And when we talked about like, I ain't gonna go there. I don't want to go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know about when we cut the camera off. I want to know. Hopefully
Okay.
you remember.
I will. But God, in the Bible, we see countless times where he demonstrates grace and forgiveness. It's not just Jesus dying on the cross for our sins, but like we
Right.
literally get to see over and over again. The Israelites alone.
Right, them alone. We don't even got
Dog.
to get to. We ain't got to get to Matthew.
We don't.
We ain't got to get to the New Testament.
We don't at all. Their story alone.
Hello, Red Sea.
Oh my gosh. Like all the kings
Right.
that just decided, oh, I'm gonna forget everything I've learned, do this. Anyway,
Yeah.
we see numerous times where God literally was like, okay, I
Mhm.
forgive you, I love you, or whatever, or he brought them back in. Now there were consequences.
Definitely.
God did set boundaries. There were times where there were consequences for their actions. There was still forgiveness.
Yep.
And I don't believe that means that we get to define what the consequence, quote unquote, is, but there are boundaries that I believe we do need to set. And so depending on the situation, that's something you navigate with God through prayer, with your spouse. You know, that doesn't mean you go in a room and you decide like, well, because they did this to me, you know, these are the things that I'm going to do back or whatever.
Mhm.
That's not what I mean. But there may be boundaries that need to be set.
Yep.
There may need to be a conversation that needs to be had between you and your spouse about, okay, if this happens again, what that's going to mean for our relationship, what that does, how that's damaging to me or to you, to
Yep.
us, whatever. And I think that when we talk about the word, like that is our blueprint, right?
Yeah.
Like we always say that. And so Jesus isn't the only thing that we have to look at. I just wanted to highlight
Yeah.
that we have other examples and we just have to learn how to apply those things to our life.
Yeah. And like just a simple wordplay. Forgive. What are you giving for?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah. Was that okay?
Can you like go in there?
Can
a
I
little
go in
more?
there a little bit?
Just a little bit.
So like forgiveness. So what are we giving to cancel the debt?
Mm.
What are we giving up? Pride,
Mm-hmm.
self-righteousness,
Yeah.
ultimately self-denial, a denial of self. So,
That's good.
you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people, and I'm people.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I have been people, the Lord working on me.
Okay.
But I guess you would quote unquote forgive, or my version of it. But I would still hold, ooh, this gonna hurt. I would set up ungodly boundaries
Talk about that.
because they only benefited me and not the other person.
Mm.
So as long as I'm safe, I don't care what happened to y'all. As long as I'm good, I don't care. I ain't gonna worry about y'all, I ain't gonna pray for y'all. I ain't gonna do nothing. I've completely disconnected myself.
That's real.
I've completely disconnected myself from y'all. I forgive you, but I'm never gonna think about you ever again. I'm not gonna do business with you. I ain't gonna do nothing. Blah, blah, blah.
Ooh.
I am completely separate from you. And it was like I gave forgiveness out of a place of hurt and not out of a place of grace.
I forgive you, but every time I see you,
Yeah.
I think of what you did.
think of what you did.
But I forgive you though.
I forgive you though.
And I just ain't going I learned from it and I ain't gonna do nothing else with you.
Mm-hmm. I learned not to mess with you.
Right. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there are certain circumstances where you definitely need to separate yourself.
Yes.
Because
yes.
God cares about your safety.
Yes.
Your safety is a priority to God. Your safety is extremely important. And so there are certain situations where you know for a fact that even though you have forgiven them, you've given them the grace of God and you've given you good. However, it is not good wisdom. It is not very wise for me to mess with you. because I know that you're not going to change. That's a completely separate thing.
Right.
That's a completely separate thing.
I'm glad you said that.
I know for a fact that I need to, some of y'all Christians may hate it. I need to divorce you because we are unequally yoked and you're not going to grow and we're outgrowing each other and you are not going to change. And so it is utilizing the wisdom of God in the separation that needs to take place. And this is when you really know you've forgiven folks. Here we go. When y'all can be in the same vicinity and you not get attitude, you not change the sound or the tone of your voice, your countenance doesn't change. You are who you were before they showed up. That is when you know you have truly forgiven. And with forgiveness, we of other folks, especially people that we are around, obviously our spouses, we also have to know the difference between being at peace and being controlled. And I talk about this all the time. Many of us, we are controlled, not at peace. When you're at peace, you're at harmony, everything is good, and there's chaos around you, but on the inside of you, ain't nothing messing with you. You are good. You are at peace on the inside. But when you controlled, you like you really holding yourself back from popping off. You really want to let people know how you feel. You're just controlled. And many of us really, we think we at peace, but we really are controlled.
I've been guilty of that.
Oh yeah, me too.
Especially with like certain people in certain situations.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And I would even say within our marriage, there have been some times where I wasn't at peace. I was just controlled. I know for a fact if Jazz say something, just say something. Yeah, I'm gonna let you know.
You're right. I have been there,
and I have not forgiven you. I haven't at all. So like, so can we really get to a place where we have truly forgiven and canceled the debt? And have we done the proper work of walking out our forgiveness of others and being able to receive the forgiveness from other people?
I think there's some work, as you were talking at the end, I think there's some work that we have to do on ourselves in order to forgive, to give forgiveness, and in order to receive it, but especially to be able to give it properly.
Yeah.
You have to be mature.
Yeah.
You have to understand, not just understand, but be willing to deny yourself. Like, that also means that I believe that you have to be able to deny yourself, not just in a situation where you have to forgive, but in other aspects of your life. Like, you have to be able to walk this thing out.
Yeah.
Again, that Christ being formed in you. Do you look like Christ on the inside? Yeah. Because if you don't look like Christ on the inside, if your heart's not like Christ, then that's what's going to spew out of you. And you're not going to be able to forgive. You're not going to be able to truly have peace and harmony. And that doesn't mean that you're perfect all the time. Like I said earlier today, like I was petty today and I did something that I shouldn't have. I'm not perfect, but I knew I was wrong. You know what I mean? And like, I knew how to get back right, because old Jazz, I do something petty, I might say I'm sorry. I probably would say, I'm sorry, but like, I still kind of have an attitude about you being upset with me. Like, you know what I mean? Or I'm still acting funny 2 days later. Like, that's how I used to be. But it's like, no, we don't. We also have to have, or not we have to, but you and I have some boundaries that we've set because of situations like this. Yeah. We're not going to go to bed mad. Yeah. We're not going to even if we didn't completely resolve it and like everybody's smiling and we're happy again, we at least talked about this thing,
and it's hard.
And there are some times where, one, I don't want to talk about it that day, but I have to deny myself. This is something we agreed on, and I can't go to bed like this. I don't know what tomorrow is going to have in store. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. it's not fair, not just death, but like literally, I don't know. And it's not fair to send a spouse to bed like when you know that there's something heavy on them. Like that's just rude, you know? Like
Yeah.
because I've been there and I know what that's like. I kind of got off
Nah,
topic.
you on.
I was going over here a little bit and now I came over here. I don't know where I was saying. But all in all, I think that the inner work that we do has to be here first with God. Like
Mhm.
it's not, I think you have this vertical relationship and work that's being done. And I think you said this before. If it doesn't make you go, ugh,
Yeah.
if
it don't make you feel uncomfortable,
then it probably wasn't God.
yeah.
If it's making you squirm a little bit and it's making you like, dang, if you're getting a little irritable or if it's hard for you, you're probably growing.
That's that spot.
And it's that's that spot. And the
spot.
Lord working on something. He taking that thing out from the root. And when we lean into that, it's like we get to that area just gets purified, honestly.
Mhm.
And it doesn't always feel good, but
Yeah.
you'll see what it produces.
Yeah. Yeah. That spot's something else. Oh, that spot is something else. And it reveals it just reveals how much more we need Jesus.
Mhm.
We all say that I love you, Jesus. I worship and I didn't mean to go into a song, but but seriously, it forgiveness really reveals how much Jesus we really need, how much of him we need being to be formed on the inside of us. Because the more we are like him, the less we are of us.
Mhm.
And it's a real hard thing to let go of me when I built so much. I've created so much. I've accomplished so much. And the crazy thing about it is the things that we built or that we accomplished, we prayed to him for, to get. But as we begin to grow and develop, we begin to claim that stuff as our own, not wanting to let go of what he allowed us to build. And what would happen if we allowed Jesus, if we allowed Christ to help us build our strength in forgiveness?
That don't even sound pretty to the world.
Oh, no, not at all.
That's not sexy.
It's not. It's Christ-like.
It is.
It's Christ-like.
It is. Ooh, that's a shirt.
Huh?
It ain't sexy, but it's Christ-like.
Ooh, bar. I like it.
I like it
I
a
can
lot,
dig it.
actually.
Huh.
Okay.
I don't know. Y'all better not make it before us. But if you do make it, we give us, some kind of credit.
Yeah, like
But
20%.
Yeah.
No.
Something.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she went for a whole 20. Goodness
15.
gracious. 15. Still.
10 was too low.
I know. You gotta get something.
I gotta get some.
Gotta
I'm trying to get
something.
enough for both of us,
For both
baby.
of us?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So if you do 20, I get 10, you get 10.
It's ours. We get 20.
Oh, we get 20.
Yeah.
See, that's why I married her. We ain't splitting nothing. It's us.
What you mean 10 is
It's all of us. It's all of ours. Anyways, forgiveness. There are levels, so many levels and dimensions to it, but we have to do our work with it. We have to do the work. We have to do the work. I'm going to keep saying it. We have to do the work. If we want to become better for our spouses, better for our children, because there's going to come a point in time where we are going to have to give forgiveness to our children. I'm the parent, you the child. What I need to give you forgiveness for? What do I need to forgive you for? And there's going to come a point in time where we're going to have to do that. So why not practice with each other? Why not build that muscle up with one another? And what we'll start to see happen is it'll start to reach in other areas. It'll happen with our parents. It'll happen with our siblings. It'll happen with grandparents. It'll happen with co-workers, friends, relationships that fell off, what have you. You'll feel, you'll be able to truly be even more Christ-like by distributing forgiveness properly. Not because you want something out of the deal, but because forgiveness ultimately it's not for the other person. Ultimately, it's for us.
The last thing I want to say, that was good, baby, is that, just to be real, forgiveness doesn't look like the beautiful scene in a movie or in a sitcom where it's like, they say what they have to say in like 2 sentences and then they hug and then there's like smiles and it's like
in this music.
Yeah. The music, bro, the music. Yes. That makes it like, even as the person that's watching, you're like, oh yeah, like I forgive them too, like everything's great. It doesn't always go that way. I'm not gonna say always. It usually doesn't go that way. I am not bragging, but I believe that we have a healthy marriage. I believe that you and I do a really great job with communicating, and we really work hard on our individual relationships with God. But we still mess up.
Oh, we messed up today.
Right. Well, I did this time.
Me still.
But I've had multiple times, and you've had multiple times where you've messed up. And when we have to have those difficult conversations, it's awkward. Like, I won't say awkward. Yeah, I guess awkward that's the best word I can think of. Uncomfortable. That's the word. Thank you. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good to lean into. If anything, everything in me naturally wants to not have the conversation.
Yep.
I really want to just avoid it and like leave it alone.
Don't talk about it. I'm fine.
Literally, that's what I want to do. I force myself to sit down. Like sometimes we will sit down looking at each other, knowing I would much rather be doing anything else but this. Even you want to talk about it, but it's like, I don't really want to talk about it like this, But we do it anyway.
Yeah.
When we forgive, it might be like we forgave right then, I'm sorry, baby, I shouldn't have done da-da-da-da, like, and you're like, I understand, I forgive you, I still love you, hug, and then I still feel icky about what I did, or the person that's asking for forgiveness or the person that's forgiving, they still feel some type of way. Like it's not like boom, all done.
Yep.
And maybe we go our separate ways, but I'm not giving you silent treatment, right? Or you're not like being funny with me. It's when we said I'm sorry and we hugged or whatever. When we forgave, even if it didn't feel like forgiveness and it went away right then. Yeah. I just really wanted to share that because that's real. Like forgiveness, we're saying like, oh yeah, this is what you should do and all this, but that doesn't mean it feels good. Oh no. And it doesn't mean that it's easy.
Trash.
Trash. Was that Toy Story
4? I think so. Yeah.
That was the last thing I wanted to share. And so lean into that and understand that is normal. And I think maybe even acknowledging it after the fact with your spouse, like, did you feel that? Like, that really was hard for me. Like now we don't have to do that. But I remember in the beginning when we had difficult conversations afterwards, I would have to say like, I didn't like that at all. Or I still feel some type of way. And you're like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, because that, I think that for us, it made sense to do, but I don't think that that's something that maybe was modeled in other relationships or other homes. And so maybe people don't know that. And so I just wanted to put that out there.
No, that's good. Because like I was saying, it's a process. And I believe that when you make up your mind to forgive, that is what opens the door for the process to truly start. Yeah. And so that's why whenever the initiation of, okay, I forgive you, when that happens, that's when we start to feel sometimes, like in your case today, you felt even more guilt, even more shame, even more like, why would I even do something like that? Blah, blah, blah. So now it creates opportunity for you to begin developing a conversation with yourself and how you felt the way that you did and just being able to grow. So it really, really opens the door. It opens the door for us to grow. I was gonna say something else and I cannot remember. Oh, so remember our goals. One of mine was to say something
To receive
to receive, is it criticism
criticism or feedback
or
without
feedback
justification.
without justification? And that's a hard thing for me because I'm that person who thinks about 80 million different perspectives at the same time. And so whenever I've done something, I've done something wrong to Jazz for whatever reason. I didn't even realize that I did it. I always have a comeback. Always.
Always.
Every single time I have something.
I'm praying our children are not like that because I'm not gonna make it.
And so
Everybody get hit in the mouth.
So with me always having something back to say, there was never a space for forgiveness to really take place
That's good, baby.
because I've always had something.
Yes.
I always had something to say.
That's literally true. Like
Mhm.
it would just put up this block. Like, okay, like at that point, I can't forgive you because you're not even
Yeah,
acknowledging.
I can't even acknowledge.
Because you got a reason for why this
I
happened.
have a reason for why I did you wrong. The reason why I forgot to help whenever you asked me for it, and I said that I would, and I have a reason for why I did not come through. And so that's one of the things that I'm working on is not trying to justify what I did.
I'm laughing because you've been doing a really great job, honestly, baby,
hope
since
so.
you've made that goal.
I hope so.
I don't know how hard you're fighting, but you've been doing a really great job. But I'm laughing because that's so real. Like that is literally you at the
That's me.
core
That's me.
with everything.
It is. But and in full transparency, the reason why
Are you gonna justify?
No. I guess so. I don't know if I'm gonna justify my justification. I don't know. But I believe that I've been doing really well because I'm aware of it.
Mm.
Like, I can't ignore it now. And I'm the person, once I find something that's wrong or figure it,
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to figure it out.
You gotta figure
I
it
gotta
out.
figure it out. I gotta figure
Gotta
it out.
understand it.
I gotta figure it out. And so I think that's why I'm growing in that area because it's in my face.
Mm.
And how in the world can I say I'm Christ-like and I'm ignoring signs that are literally in my face?
Yeah.
And I hear myself when I'm about to say it, when I'm about to justify something. I'm like, all right, just eat it, bro. Just eat it.
Yeah.
Don't justify nothing. Just say it. Receive whatever it is that's been said to you and go about your business.
That's another thing when it comes to forgiveness. I'm glad you said that. I used to have that issue when we were dating. I didn't really hear what it was that you were. I kind of venturing off of forgiveness a little bit, but it ties in. When you would address something like, "Hey, can you help with such and such?" or "Hey, I need you to do." Instead of me saying like, "Okay, all right, baby, I'm gonna try to do better," or "Okay, I can do that," it was like, "Well, like I had some kind of response, some kind of comeback. And sometimes we do need to learn how to just shut up. Like there have been times where the Holy Spirit literally just like grabs my mouth and just, and it's like I can't, like it don't feel good, but I know that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when your spouse is confronting you about something, maybe you do have a reason for it, or maybe you are like, you want to say something back, but when you immediately jump to saying something back, you just discredit it and just knock their but you knocked what they had to say out of the way. And so there's no room, like we just talked about, there's no room for forgiveness because I can't even tell you nothing.
I can't tell you nothing.
And so I think, again, that's awareness. That's that inner work, that self-work. Sometimes you just got to eat it.
Yeah.
You just got to take that thing, and maybe it does cause for a conversation later, but are you just responding to justify, or did you even hear what they said and you acknowledge, you know what? I did say I was gonna do blah 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 blah, or you know, I did say I was gonna stop cussing, and I haven't really been focusing on that. You're right. I shouldn't have done whatever. Like, can you at least own that and sit in that? And I think if we can learn to just hear and receive and not respond with justification, I think we can grow more than we.
Yeah, and faster.
Yeah, because I see that in my own life, how learning to just shut up, like just hush, just even when it's things I don't want to hear, I'm just like, okay, thank you for your feedback. I learned that. Solar. All my solar friends that listen, thank you for your feedback.
Thank you for your feedback.
Like, that don't feel good, but it has really helped me.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of ground
A whole lot.
today. How long have we been talking?
Maybe over an hour. We've been talking over an hour.
All right.
Maybe right.
You need to go bathe. Now.
Yeah. I guess so. Fine. So yeah, y'all. Yeah, we talked about a lot. I feel like we could have kept going on the cool, but I think that was really, really good. I didn't even know we was gonna talk like that.
Me either.
I didn't know what was going on. That I'm gonna tell y'all, that was hot off the press, y'all.
Yeah, that literally happened today.
That happened today.
And we were like, what? Right before we put Kai down, what are we talking about today? Because we asked that question all week.
What you talking about?
What are we talking about?
What we talking about?
What are we talking about? I don't know. What are we talking about? I don't know. And then we have a conflict, and then boom. God's like, there you go.
There it is.
Since y'all didn't know earlier this week, here you go.
Since you don't know, here you go. So yeah, of course, as always, man, we love y'all. We thank y'all so much for listening to this episode.
Thank y'all for your support.
Yeah, appreciate y'all support, and there still are opportunities for you guys who would like to be a part of the fam by, you know, sponsoring, what have you. You can just visit our website, lefthandgang.co.co. We also got some merch still. Got a couple hoodies. I know it's hot in the summertime, but I don't know. Some with these teenagers in these hoodies in the summertime, they be wearing them. I don't know what it is, but check out the website, all of that stuff. And yeah, you have anything else before we sign out?
Nope.
No. All right. Well, until next time, see y'all later. Peace. Thank y'all so much for tapping in with the Left Hand Gang podcast.
Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, and rate us.
And lastly, please don't forget to check out our website. That's lefthandgang.co for merch and ways to stay connected.
Catch you next episode.
Gang.